Last week, you guys probably saw the denim collection, it got quite a haircut. I had to sort out the pieces that were still project pairs, pieces that I still have in rotation. I had to sort out the pieces that are just far too fucked up to sell. And then I had to sort out all of the pieces that really deserve a new home. I threw it all up in Grailed, and I was really surprised about how quickly some of the pieces shifted. Guys, if you picked something up, I'm really grateful, thank you. The postage is all sorted, boxes are waiting, and these will get picked up later on today. But before everything goes out the door, I wanted to take a deeper dive into one piece in particular. This early denim jacket model from Lee. The jacket's going to be winging its way to the US later on today. But before it goes in the box, I hope that the new owner is not going to mind if I just take a little bit of time with it and just dive into the details, because I really find this a fascinating piece of denim history that's kind of overlooked. When it comes to early denim jackets, we think of the Levi's Type 1. When it comes to Lee, they're a little bit later on the scene with the rider. But actually, this is the OG from Lee. Nowadays it's called the Lee 101J Cowboy Jacket. But actually, as I found out in my research for this video, it's actually the Lee 401 Prestige Jacket. And this was just Lee jumping on the bandwagon. The 506 from Levi and the 213, which is the cheaper version of the 506, they had been doing pretty well up until then, and then Lee just saw that and thought, right, we'll be having some of that. It is pretty similar to the Levi's, so it has the pleats running down the front, it's got that single chest pocket with the flap closure, and it's got a cinch on the back. But it feels a little bit more refined. The pocket has that distinct spade shape, and the flap is rounded. They're Lee signatures. Their denim is a samphrized gel denim, and that became famous for being quite lightweight, so 11.5 ounces, but with the durability of a 13.5 ounce denim. And this was achieved by a certain really tight weave and the way that the yarn was spun in the first place. Yeah, if you show up late to the party, you've got to show out. Now, with this Lee, there doesn't seem to be the same kind of defined timelines as there is with Levi's jackets. At least there wasn't any that I could find. But I think that this jacket dropped around about 1925 and it ran up until the rider was introduced, which was around 1932. Now, it was the rider that was actually the big leap. I mean, you can see how they went from Lee copying Levi's with this 401 to 3 decades later, Levi's copying the rider with the Type 3. Right, so that's the history of the jacket model, but what about this particular jacket? The jacket's made by Lee Japan, so it means it's Japanese through and through. I'm not too sure if Lee Japan and Lee in the West have got anything to do with each other. I've got a feeling they're two completely separate companies. But anyway, so that just means that it's made in Japan and the denim is woven in Japan. I got this quite early on, and you can tell I got it quite early on because look at the size of it. I used to be a lot skinnier than I am now. Some idiot beat me up in a nightclub in Berlin. I actually knew the guy. It was the ex-boyfriend of a friend of mine, thankfully ex-boyfriend. But anyway, he messed up my stomach. I ended up losing about 20 kilos in about 3 weeks. It was ridiculous. And yeah, I bought this jacket when I was at peak skinny. I think I was about 68 kilos and normally 90, so yeah. I was in that phase that I think all denim heads go through, the one where you just want to be unique in the world of Smurfs. So I combed every resource of the internet and then found this up in Rakuten. Rakuten, for those of you who are lucky enough not to know, is a Japanese, I think it's the biggest Japanese marketplace. And back in the day, it was the only viable option, or at least the only option that I knew of or know of or can remember. It's the only viable option back then to get Japanese goods, especially the obscure ones, over here in Europe. I just remember the cost of the jacket, even now actually, it was super high. The yen was quite strong back then. Then there was insane postage charges. Then there's that level of hell that Dante forgot, which is the German custom offices. So yeah, the jacket ended up being pretty expensive. But it did work out that I had something that other Berlin Smurfs didn't have, so that got me some props along the way, and yeah, so all good. And I wore the jacket like you would any other project jacket. I wore the jacket each and every day, come rain or shine, for about 2 months. And then I got the right diagnosis from the hospital for my stomach issues, and I started putting on weight again. And the jacket was completely and totally uncooperative and just stayed exactly the same size. And so it just went on the rail, and it pretty much remained there ever since. I mean, every so often I'd have a denim head mate over, I'd pull it out, I'd flex a little bit, but yeah, much more than that. I mean, it was nice as a collector's piece for sure, but it didn't really see too much wear, and so I didn't really have too many stories in it. I mean, one thing I remember very vividly, I'd interviewed Gavin Smith, that was Megatron, over on the forum, so he was like one of the forum original knowledge dons from like back in the day. But I interviewed Gavin, and he'd spoken about the importance of soaking your denims, something that I'll tell everybody out there, soak your denims. So I was like, okay, I've just got this new jacket, I should probably soak it. Threw it in the tub, and yeah, as in all my time as a denim head, it's soaking countless like denim jackets, jeans, denim items. I've never seen the like. After 10 minutes of being in the water, you just couldn't see the jacket anymore. It was just covered in this thick brown sludge. We're not talking about just like a little bit of indigo bleed or a lot of indigo bleed, but it's just thick brown sludge. I think I had to like rinse and repeat 3 or 4 times before you could actually even see through this soup. And I remember getting like a lot of shit from my flatmate for leaving like brown stains around the bathtub. And then I think another time I got caught in a really, really bad downpour, and I was wearing my first pair of 316s back then. That was the 316s they did in cooperation with Selvedge. Yeah, the BS30 BSP, something like that. Anyway, they were like inky deep, and I was wearing with these. So I was like, I was properly smurfed out. But yeah, they were redoing this big long section of road. There was a lot of mud. There was this big downpour. So of course, I'm on my hipster single speed. I've got this big badger stripe right up my back. So yeah, the jacket and the jeans ended up going in the washing machine. But it would have been around about that time that I stopped wearing the jacket. Right, but enough of the trips down memory lane. I want to have a look at the details of this jacket, because I mean, this is just, it's a very, very nicely made piece of clothing. The denim is this 11.5 ounce gel denim. And yeah, as I said before, Lee kind of distinguished themselves in the marketplace by having this lighter weight denim, but being as durable as a heavier weight denim. And they did this by having a certain kind of yarn, like a certain way of manufacturing the yarn that was very tightly twisted. And then a way of manufacturing the denim, of weaving the denim, so it was very, very tightly woven. And you can feel that in this denim. It's got like a heft to it. And it's, yeah, you can see there's also, it's quite a hairy denim. I mean, it's been soaked once and washed once. And this hairiness is just like really popped out. As has this tone, which I don't know if this was synthetic or natural indigo, I'm not really too sure, but it's got, I'd say it's an underlying green tone to the jacket overall. But yeah, the tone of this denim is absolutely lovely. It's quite an interesting denim, even though it is so tightly woven. And then the fades have come out very nicely along with that as well. And you can see a green tone coming out through the fades as well. Running down the front of the jacket, straight out of the Levi's playbook, or actually straight out of the denim jackets at the time playbook, are the pleats running down the front. Now these would give a little bit of movement in the chest area. I've also heard, but I've not been able to confirm this, the cowboys, the workers, whatever, they would unpick these pleats in the colder months, so the jackets had more room around about the belly to accommodate like thicker stuff being worn underneath. But I don't know if that's just denim folklore or not, so yeah, don't quote me on that part. The buttons, they are nice, solidly set. They are not set in any orientations. They're all over the place a little bit. This is the only one that's a little bit in line. And then on the inside, yeah, they started to rust up a little bit, which is a nice little bit of patina right there. On the back, yep, not branded at all. Looking into the inside of the jacket, very, very clean construction. We're going to see what this zigzag stitch means in a second, and we can see the back of the rivets from the cinch here. But yeah, the construction is extremely clean. Okay, you can see the Selvedge ID here. It's just plain white, which yeah, is kind of in line for the times as well. To the front, we have got the front flat pocket. Again, that's straight out of the playbook from jackets of the time. But this time, in line with how Lee were kind of like branding and distinguishing themselves at the time, it's a spade shape and it's got this rounded flap to it as well. It's riveted up at the top in the stress points, then underneath the flap, the buttons, not the buttons, but the pocket itself is riveted as well. The rivets are actually a bit better than the Levi's ones because they're kind of flattened off, which means that they're not going to scratch things up. Up here in the collar, we have got the woven label, so union made, Lee, samfarized, and shrunk. I mean, the samfarized denim here, that's interesting because it was probably another way that Lee was trying to distinguish themselves from the competition, because Levi's were always using their shrink to fit denim as part of their marketing. And so stable garments are not going to shrink down, were probably quite in demand. And speaking of the labels, I mean, I mentioned that zigzag stitch here and the inside. This is just a really, really nice touch. And this is just something that talks to the fact that this is a repro piece. There's no necessity of doing this. And that is putting this union-made label on the inside of the pocket, which is bloody hard to get out to see. But yeah, they've got this union-made label that's stitched on the inside of the chest pocket here. And I mean, that is printed on just a piece of canvas. The way that I think that this must have been put on, so they're using a double needle machine here to put on the pocket. So they must have started off on the inside here, which wouldn't have been the inside at the time, but they started off here in the middle of where the chest pocket was going to go. They've run it backwards and forwards, then they've run it up to the corner of the pocket, run round the pocket and stop the stitching there. This is kind of similar to when you find the jeans where they run this top stitch on the waistband along, they've put the label on, they've run round about the leather label, the leather patch, they've run round about the leather patch and they've continued it along. It was a quick way to manufacture because they're doing this in one single step instead of having to like put this on first, then put the pocket on. Then also on the inside here we have the care label. And this is also quite interesting. So it's been trimmed off, I don't quite know why, but they've got the English care label here. And this is completely against the denim lore of the time. So hot wash, normal cycle, and then tumble dry, medium heat, and wash and tumble dry separately. I mean, not even now, with everything I'd learned, would I ever say put your denims in the tumble dryer, but the Japanese guys are different. Then it's a size 38, which I would say is much more along the... This is more of a medium, because I think 40 would be like more in line with this, but that's just because this was a bit of a boxy fit at the time. You could see that it fitted me in the arms okay, it was just like across the chest it didn't fit me so well. Right, the last thing to look at is the cinch on the back. Again, this was just like par for the course for all of the denim jackets at the time. I have seen versions of this without the cinch in the back, but for some reason still have the rivets exactly the same place. But yeah, the good thing about this is that even though this is quite an early repro, the buckle is still really, really good. There was lots and lots of complaints about the Levi's vintage clothing buckles. They were just, I don't know, they were cut out of tinfoil or something. They just kept falling apart. They were useless. But this one's good, solid, like it's patinaed up really, really nicely. And it really works to bring in the waist a little bit, just making it a little bit less boxy, which is pretty important for these old jackets. All this has just reminded me of that heyday of the repro pieces. And where brands would really go to just that nth degree to recreate every single stitch, every single aspect of these old historic pieces of denim. I feel we've left that a little bit behind, for better or for worse. I mean, we're searching for maybe more contemporary takes on the classics, more modern fits with more modern silhouettes, and yeah, definitely like in pursuit of more extreme denims. Yeah, I'm sure these pieces are still out there, but maybe it's just not my vibe anymore, my attention is elsewhere. Still, this was a lovely little walk down memory lane. Like it was nice to dive back into the details of this jacket, to really discover what fascinated me about it in the first place. And Lee, I hope you're going to enjoy your new jacket as much as I enjoyed it back in the day when I got it. I hope you don't mind that I did like a little video on it before sending it off. And yeah, get some good wear out of it, really. Right, I better get this stuff boxed up and get it in the post, because I don't want the guys who bought this stuff, I don't want Lee, don't want him to wait too long for his new jacket. And so that just leaves me to say, guys, as always, I hope everyone is happy and healthy out there. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of each other. And I'm going to see you in the next video.